and welcome to Hard Talk India. After his dismissal from the cabinet and his subsequent statement to the press suggesting in some way that the Chief Justice and Attorney General were responsible, Ram Jethmalani has created a storm of controversy. Today, in an exclusive interview to Hard Talk India, his first major interview after the controversy erupted, he's agreed to defend himself and answer his critics. Mr. Jethmalani, looking at the 17-page statement you released to the press on Thursday, it seems as if your intention is to damage the reputation of the Chief Justice and the Attorney General. Is that correct?
I don't think so at all. What have I got against the Chief Justice? But when anything wrong happens, I'm not one of those who suppresses his freedom of speech at that time.
But you see,
democracy suffers by silence of some people. Democracy requires people who can speak up.
But you see, your very answer illustrates my point. Your statement was supposed to be in self-defense, but it's a very strange form of self-defense. You aren't in your statement justifying your actions. You're casting
I'm very sorry if a person is obliged to act by the misconduct of others, you have to talk of that misconduct.
You see, this is that your self-defense of yourself lies in the sentence that a carefully orchestrated campaign has been unleashed.
You can just go on repeating the same thing, Karan, but my answer will be still the same, that if I have been hurt by the misconduct of somebody, it will be against my grain that I should not talk about it. Now, if you think that somebody has all the time to talk about himself and not talk about anybody else, according to me, that's not my style of functioning, and it should not be the style of functioning of anybody in a responsible position. Exposure is the essence of democracy.
But you see, you put your finger on it when you say you're hurt. Your critics turn around and say he's a bitter man who's hurt and he's now trying to hurt others.
I'm hurt, not in the sense that it has caused me any fiscal loss, that I care much for that office which I was holding, but I'm hurt that things like this should happen, and happen in the places where they have happened.
Okay, let's then turn to the substance of your statement, and let's start with what you say about the Attorney General. You've criticized him for not informing the Supreme Court that your comments of the 19th of July were about the Samna editorial matter and not the Sri Krishna report, because you say that the two are substantially different. The Attorney General says that's a hairline distinction that won't stand up.
Well, let me put it that way. That's the hairline defense of the Attorney General.
Well, let me quote to you then from the Sri Krishna report.
What do lawyers do?
Let me quote you from the Sri Krishna report. I quote from Volume 1, Chapter 3. It's called Who is Responsible? The report says the Commission's view is that large-scale rioting and violence commenced from 6th January 1993 by Hindus brought to fever pitch by communally inciting propaganda unleashed by Hindu communal organizations and writings in newspapers like Samna. There are many other references exactly like that to Samna in the report. Isn't the Attorney General correct?
Karan, I'm sorry, he is not correct. He is not correct because a Commission of Inquiry's report does not extend the period of limitation for any offence. What he says is that some editorials in Samna, of course you see here that this particular editorial of January 1993 is not mentioned there. Not even indirectly.
You said on record that the
Chief Justice... But the simple thing is, could you prosecute a man now in the year 2000 for an offence which he committed in 1993 when there is a law of limitation? We are talking of law. I am not talking of enforcement of Sri Krishna report. By all means, go and enforce it.
Come back to your statement. In your statement, you allege...
And it may be that even a time-barred editorial may be responsible for a particular riot. But question is, and that is the only question with which I dealt, and that is the only question on which I gave advice, that a specific prosecution for a specific offence in connection with a specific editorial is today barred by the law of limitation.
Yes, but what do you say?
And why should the Attorney General go on talking about it?
But what do you say in your statement?
But Karan, you see that the magistrate held exactly the same thing. I wanted that they should not do this kind of a stupid thing.
Mr. Jethmalani, let's come back to your statement. What do you say in your statement? You allege that the Attorney General hadn't read his brief, that he wasn't master of his case. That's defamatory.
Yes, he had not read the brief, I say so.
How do you know?
Huh?
How do you know?
I know it from all reports, because he had not, he was not in town, he turned up on the previous day, and I must tell you, I don't know whether I am committing a breach of confidence, but expressly he telephoned to my daughter Rani. He said, I didn't know anything about it. He didn't have even the papers in court.
Mr. Jethmalani, I put this to the Attorney General and he vigorously denies saying anything of the sort to your daughter.
But now that's the whole trouble. Let the people decide. And people who saw his performance in court, did he utter one word and say that the Sri Krishnan report does not have anything to do with this particular editorial?
Mr. Jethmalani, in your press statement,
did you ask him whether he had applied his mind to this problem, whether this editorial was a part of the Sri Krishna report? You should have asked him that question.
Mr. Jethmalani, in your statement to the press, you also say that the Attorney General should have asked the Justice for an adjournment after he had made his criticism of you so that he could defer to you to find out your opinion. Why should he have done that? The Chief Justice didn't name you. He didn't even refer to you by your ministerial designation.
Look, you don't have to take a name before a person is identified. Every man of common sense recognized that it was me. Did you not recognize it, Karan? Did not every newspaper recognize it? And surely the Prime Minister recognized it, all right.
There were two other ministers on that day who had spoken in similar tones to you, Mr. Arun Jaitley and Mr. Ram Naik. The Chief Justice could have been talking about any of the three.
I beg your pardon. Even if he talked of any three of us, I am entitled to act because I am one of them on whom the shadow might fall.
But you see, it's not just the comments or the actions of the Attorney General as Attorney General that you've criticized in your press statement. You've cast aspersions on his moral character. You've cast aspersions on his integrity.
Now, would you mind telling me? Where have I cast any aspersions on his moral character insofar as his conduct on the hearing of the 21st is concerned?
Not on the hearing of the 21st. On other matters, let me point out to you.
Let us dissociate. Let us please separate what he did on the 21st, which is my immediate provocation.
And the background that you're alluding to, I'm moving on to that. I said, it's not just his conduct of the 21st.
If there was no background to it, I might have forgiven it as pure some kind of negligence, remissness, or, well, we'll say some...
Well, let me in fact point out what you say about it, because I'm also distinguishing between what happened on the 21st and on the earlier background that you're now alluding to. You say that Mr. Swaraj...
Every piece of conduct assumes a new hue and perhaps a bad look because of the background.
Well, let me in fact come to that background, because you say that Mr. Swaraj, the Attorney General, gave an opinion to the Hindujas for which he was paid money when the Hindujas are a company that have several cases going with the Government of India, and this constitutes a conflict of interest. And you say it was wrong, yet he had the Law Minister's permission to do so.
Well, I'm sorry. First of all, will you tell me, for a fee of 5,000 rupees, why was it necessary for the Attorney General to go and seek a special permission from the Law Minister, and for the Law Minister to give that permission? What was happening? I mean, any man of common sense will, please advise my friend Mr. Swaraj that the less you talk, the less you will implicate yourself.
The point, Mr. Jethmalani, is that he secured permission, he got it in writing,
well,
he had explained in detail, let me finish. Yeah. He had explained in detail to the Law Minister what he was seeking permission for. No longer, therefore, is he guilty of wrongdoing.
No, I'm sorry, that's not correct. Even the Law Minister then is wrong in giving him that permission.
Yes, but then you haven't taken up the matter with the Law Minister. You've actually turned and attacked Mr. Swaraj. In fact, you've even got the name of the Law Minister wrong.
Yeah,
the Law Minister was Kumara Mangalam. It wasn't Thambi. You see, you're wrong on fact, and you've targeted the wrong person.
I'm sorry, I'm not wrong on facts. I'm wrong on the name of a particular incumbent of office, which was some predecessor of mine who gave me.
Let me take up another example. You say in your press statement that the Attorney General has made lakhs of rupees from advice and opinion he's given the Government of India in the telecom case, and that this was money that's wrongly been claimed. But you, as Law Minister, sanctioned the payment.
For the simple reason that my office first said that this money is not due. I recognized that it was not due. I made ultimately a note on the file that please amend the rules with retrospective effect and bring them into force for sake of the Attorney General.
Forgive me, I'm interrupting, but you're missing the point. If the money was being wrongly claimed, why did you deny sanction? Why did you in fact grant it? You could have stopped the payment.
It has been my settled policy as far as possible not to challenge professional bills.
But then after agreeing to the payment, why are you saying it's wrongly paid?
Of course it is wrongly paid. Because the rules were not amended.
But you could have denied the payment and brought the matter to an end there and then.
Look, Karan, ultimately, a man in the position of an Attorney General, ultimately, what did I record on the file? That if he is claiming the fee, he must have interpreted the rules and give it to him.
Let me point something out.
Sometimes you get disgusted with certain things, but you can't help that.
Okay, you're saying this is a matter of interpretation. You chose to leave the interpretation to him. Let's then take up another case you bring out against him. You say in your statement that the Attorney General was responsible in 1998 for transferring some of the Jayalalitha cases from ordinary courts to courts that you say would have been congenial to her. You say that at the time, let me finish again, Mr. Jethmalani. You say that at the time you tendered your resignation. If you felt so strongly, why then did you withdraw your resignation? Why didn't you insist with the Prime Minister,
first of all,
I protest, I resign?
First of all, he advised those notifications.
He denies it.
What minute? He advised. Do you believe that the government acts on an important matter like this?
Why should I disbelieve him and believe you? Why should anyone do that?
But no, I don't make you the judge of things. Our audience will decide.
Which is why I asked, you tendered your resignation in protest. Why then did you withdraw it? Why did you agree to take it back?
Because by that time, Jayalalitha was gone, and I don't rock a boat. I have made my point.
So it wasn't convenient.
And one second.
It wasn't convenient.
1 second. I was again vindicated because the Supreme Court ultimately delivered the judgment, setting aside those. So my view was on everything on which I am right, I should resign.
Let me point
this is a very strange kind of.
If Mr. Sorabji is guilty of wrongly taking money from the Hindujas, or in the telecom case, if he's guilty of having been partial to Jayalalitha, why did you not bring this into the public domain earlier? Why now?
Why now? Why now? Because there is something called the last straw on the camel's back.
Did you ever discuss this issue with the Prime Minister earlier?
Well, the Prime Minister, I believe, knows most of these things.
Did you discuss it with him?
And I must tell you, and I have recorded in one of my letters, that I know your political clout. I know the political clout that you wield. I see it every day. I have no such political clout, though I am a minister, and my only clout is my renunciation and my ability to quit.
Jethmalani, the truth of the matter is you didn't discuss this matter with the Prime Minister. You didn't even discuss it with Mr. Sorabji. Yet today you're bringing it out, and people have suspicions about your motives in doing so.
I am sorry. People have no suspicions about me.
Let me put what you're saying.
My character and reputation are too well established. No person. You are entitled as a hard talk to talk about.
Let me put to you what your critics are saying. Your critics are saying that he, in fact, today is bringing up all these issues because he wishes to blame Sorabji. He wishes to blame the Attorney General for his dismissal. He isn't man enough to accept that he alone is to blame for his dismissal.
I am very sorry. I am not. The observations were in the first place wrong. The Attorney General's professional role was wrong, and the background is still worse.
That's heavily contended by almost all your critics.
Fine, naturally.
Let's turn.
What do you think critics are for?
Let's turn.
That's what democracy. Look, I don't blame my critics.
Okay.
That's how democracy is.
In which case, let's turn to the comments you made about the Chief Justice. Even by your own statement, it's abundantly clear that there were serious differences between yourself and the Chief Justice over the best procedure for appointing a new chairman for the Minorities Commission. Now, instead of seeking to resolve that problem, you actually sought to score points against the Chief Justice
I'm very sorry.
Him in a poor light.
Karan, this is your reading of things, and I'm sorry that you are not reading them, you are misreading them. For the simple reason that the Prime Minister himself had written to the Chief Justice that there is nothing wrong in this appointment, but the Law Minister will deal with it.
Forgive me, the Prime Minister in his letter to the Chief Justice used the words prima facie.
Yes, prima facie.
Which suggests that as far as he knew, he thought there was nothing wrong, but he was open to further inquiry.
Yes,
it wasn't such a matter.
So am I, Karan. So am I. When I came, I studied the matter all over again. And after that, I found that the authorities which he had quoted were wrong. They did not apply. And he conceded in his second letter. When I pointed out that the authorities didn't apply, the man went round and said, yes, authorities don't apply, but apply their spirit.
Mr. Jethmalani, if it was simply a question of a dispute over the appointment of the Monopolies Commission chairman, one would understand. But in your statement, you've gone so much further. You've deliberately drawn public attention to serious allegations against his wife and mother-in-law.
I'm sorry.
What was your purpose in doing that except to defame them?
Mr. Thapar, you have read papers, obviously, and you must know that I did not go into it. It was the Honorable President of India who sent me the papers, and the papers came to me for disposal on the 17th of July.
Honorable President's Secretariat. Can I finish?
Before this, one minute, hear the reply. Before this, the matter had appeared in the Kala Chakra. The Chief Justice knew about it.